So this is the pre-test for Unit 2 on Algebra 1, and what we're looking at here mainly is going to be equations and inequalities. So we start off first of all by translating each sentence into an equation. So first of all, as soon as we see an equation here, we know that it should be something with an equal sign, so we can use that to our advantage. So 7 times a number n, so in algebra, we're just going to write those two things next to each other, like that. We have to choose n because it tells us we're going to use n for this one, so we can't just pick x. Decreased by 29, so that means decreased means we're going to subtract, is, that's your equals, so that's where we get this equation from, 23. Now it doesn't ask us to solve or anything, so we're finished for this question. Next one, 6 plus 2 times an x, so 6. There's your plus symbol, 2 times x, so once again in algebra we write those next to each other, is equal to x increased by 12, and increase suggests that we're adding, so we're finished with that question as well. For 3 and 4, we're going to do the opposite, we're going to make them into a verbal sentence like we can see here. So lots of different answers for this one, but we could certainly go with trying to mimic the first one here, 2 times a number, as these are next to each other, 2 times a number, and then I'm going to say Z being English or Z for Americans, plus 5 is equal to, or you could just say is, 13 subtracted 4 times a number, something simple like that. I'm going to put take away. 13 take away 4 times a number Z. And that should work for our expression nicely. Also with ones with add, we could also use the expression sum. So we could say the sum of 2 times a number, 2 times a number Z and 5. And for this part here, we could also say the difference of 13 and 4 times a number as well. So be aware of those words. For this, we could just simply say, as the line on the fraction means divide, q divided by 2. We can also use the word quotient as well to show divide, which is probably why the letter q has been chosen here. So we could say the quotient of q and 2 is equal to, oh, I missed a part, subtract 7 is equal to 15. Is equal to 15. And we could probably write 15 in words as well, just as it was written up here as well, but to save you a bit of time, I just wrote it that way around. Now, for question 5 and 6, we have to do the same thing we just did, but we also, this time, we have to solve the equation as well. So 12 subtracted from a number. Oops. There's 12 subtracted from a number. It doesn't tell us which letter to choose, so I'm just going with n for number. Is 13. And then to solve, we're just going to do the opposites. So they'll cancel, and 13 plus 12 is 25. 15 is, so that suggests 15 equals 11 added to 3 times a number. So 3 times a number, and then added to 11. Or I guess we could have put 11 add plus 3n, same thing. And then we're going to solve this one. So if I subtract 11 from both sides, that cancels, and I get 3n equals 4, and then if we divide both sides by 3, then we'll have 4/3 equals n, or n equals 4/3, I guess, simply enough. Okay, let's scroll down and look at some of the other equations we have to solve. So this time they're already written out for us. So doing a few opposites here. Instead of subtracting 4, oops, I'm going to add 4 to both sides. That's going to cancel on this one. And it's going to leave me with 2d equals 12, and then if I divide both sides by 2, 2's cancel here, and d just equals 6. I always prefer my letters on the left-hand side, so I'm going to go ahead and use the reflexive rule, just to switch those two over. And I'm going to leave my variable on this side, so I'm going to move the 6 to the other side. So I'm going to do the opposite here. Negative 9 take away 6 is negative 15. And then divide both sides by 3. 3's cancel. And t equals negative 5. I'm going to do the same thing with number 10 as well. I got my variables on the right, but I would really prefer them to be on the left. And also I switched the order of this around as well. I always prefer my k's first and then the numbers second. That's supposed to be equals that. Oops. There we go. So I'm going to add 8 to both sides. That's going to cancel. And 14 plus 8 is 22. Then divide both sides by negative 2. 2's cancel. And k equals negative 11. So for this one here, I'm going to bring my term to the other side here. So instead of subtracting 7, I'm going to add 7 to both sides. So that's going to cancel on that side. Negative 2 plus 7 is 5. And then instead of dividing by 4, I'm going to times both sides by 4. Those 4's will cancel. And I get n equals 20. Now 12's a little different because everything's divided by 3. So I'm going to get rid of that fraction straight away. So I'm going to times both sides by 3. 7 times 3 is 21. And then actually just one more step. Subtract 4 from both sides. And we're going to get left with 17. Don't forget for all these questions as well, for all these questions we can also substitute back to check we do get the right answer. So 17 plus 4 is 21, divided by 3 is 7, so that looks pretty good for this one. I got another one with a fraction, so I'm going to multiply by 2 to get rid of that fraction. And I can subtract 9 from both sides here. And then as I've got negative a equals, I can't just leave it like that. Divide both sides by negative 1. The 2 negatives will cancel on this side, giving me a. And actually the 2 negatives on this side will cancel. 45 divided by 1 is just 45. You scroll up a little bit higher. We've got variables on both sides this time. So I always like to check if I've got the biggest number on the left, which I do for this one. So I'm going to subtract 5m from both sides. On the right it's going to cancel, and 8m take away 5m is 3m. And everything else I'm just going to copy down and say positive 16, just 16. Subtract 7 from both sides, because I'm trying to leave my m's by themselves here. That's going to cancel. And 16 take away 7 is 9. Easy step now. Divide both sides by 3. So m equals 3. 2h and negative 5h. So I got the biggest number on the left, so I'm happy. So I'm going to do the opposites. I'm going to add 5h to both sides. That cancels on that side. So I get 7h minus 14 equals 0. So I'm going to bring the negative 14 to the side by adding 14 to both sides. That cancels to here. 0 plus 14 is 14. Divide both sides by 7. H will equal 2. And our last one in this little series here, I got 3j and negative 3j, so I do have the biggest number on this side. So opposite, so instead of subtracting 3j, I'm going to add 3j to both sides. 3j plus 3j is 6j. And now I'm going to bring the 21 to the other side. So I've got my j's on one side, I'm going to bring everything to the other side. So subtract 21 from both sides. 9 take away 21 is negative 12. And then divide both sides by 6. And negative 12 divided by 6 is negative 2. Now you can turn over to the second side of your pretest.